What's going on, beautiful people? So I am on lockdown for another week. There's no diving. I can't film underwater for you guys. So I thought it's a great time to start my SCUBA Podcast. So basically what my podcast is, sometimes I'll have guests and interview biologists or expert photographers or whatever. Other times it's just plain old story time with Uncle Justin. So today that's what this one is. This is the story of my longest, most awesome, most stressful scuba trip of my life. So let's go.
Critter Hunter.
Alright guys, so welcome back to this podcast, episode whatever it is. And today I want to tell a story about my longest, most crazy scuba diving trip that I've ever done. It took lots of months. A lot of you are going to say, oh, that sounds awesome. But it was also a work trip and also super stressful and tiring. And I'll let you judge by the end and see what you think. But it was definitely a tough trip at the time, but now it's just delayed gratification. It's a fun story. So let's get into it. Back a few years ago, I was running a really popular scuba website and social medias, all the channels. And I got sponsored by Marriott Hotels and Star Alliance, a few other companies, some local dive. And they wanted to send me on a round-the-world trip. Basically, the underlying thing was they wanted to promote their new round-the-world booking system and plus Marriott Hotels. I don't know. And but my part was I get to choose the destinations, and then I'll scuba dive in all of them. Do whatever I do. I scuba dive and make videos in each destination. But I also threw in some other destinations that are only layovers, I guess, extra extended layovers just so I could rest, which thank God I did. So I want to tell you what that itinerary looked like because it was pretty crazy. So when the itinerary started, like I said, they wanted to promote their round-the-world booking system, which means the only rule I had was I had to go around the world. I had to start and stop in the same country, no matter what country it was. So obviously the easiest flights are from the States, but at the time I was in Guatemala. So here is how my itinerary went. I went from Guatemala to California. In California, I had meetings and sponsors were sending me stuff that I couldn't get abroad. So I got it there, and I didn't dive in California. It was just kind of my official first stop. From California, I was there like a week. I flew to Hawaii, which is my first real stop. In Hawaii, I dove for about a week, 10 days in Waikiki area. It was really cool. Saw some cool plane wrecks, and actually I saw an underwater submarine. Well, I guess all submarines are underwater, but you know what I mean. I was diving on a wreck and a submarine went by. Freaked me out. Saw a bunch of sharks, but yeah, that was cool. I spent the week film it. I do 3 dives a day. Film, come back up, edit video all day. Go to sleep, wake up, do it again. And then after a week of that, I flew to Japan. But the weather was really bad, so the diving got canceled. And I was only there 4 days anyway. The tourism board wanted to take me diving to somewhere, but it got canceled because of the weather. So this was actually my first real stop in Japan. So I enjoyed just a weekend or 4 days in Tokyo, just wandering around and resting. From there, I went to Seoul, South Korea, because it's only a couple-hour flight, I think. And it was the same thing. I wasn't actually going to dive there anyway. It was just that was going to be my long layover rest. I didn't know I was going to be resting in Japan. So I had a long weekend in South Korea. From South Korea, I went straight to the Philippines. This is like my second or third time in the Philippines. And I went diving around Luzon. for a week. It was the same thing, just dive, edit, sleep, dive. It was awesome, but it was super high paced because to make a video for each location, I needed a ton of footage. And you know how scuba is, you never know if you're going to get footage. From Philippines, after that week, I flew straight to Singapore, which was kind of another layover. I was maybe going to dive, but I didn't have enough time. So the tourism board, a little funny fact, they actually put me in the most expensive hotel room in the country. And I think it's the oldest hotel. They had their own drinks named after them. I can't even remember the name, but it was like 15 grand a night. So it was kind of cool, but I didn't make a video because there was no diving. I think I was only there the weekend or 3 days, and then I flew straight to, well, not straight, I probably had layovers, but I went from Singapore to Maldives. And this is my first time in Maldives. I took some boats to a little tiny island called Mami Gili, and it's a locals island. In Maldives, there's resort islands, super all-inclusive, like the resort owns the whole island. And then there's locals islands where locals live and businesses, actual restaurants, hotels. And I stayed on one of these, so you could actually do Maldives on a budget. So that's what I did. And it was way better diving too, because there was experts knew where to find the whale sharks, the reefs. It was awesome, really awesome. Like one day I just had a fisherman take me out in a little tiny boat and drop me off on this deserted tiny island about the size of my apartment. And it was the whitest sand. I said, come back tonight before dark and get me. And I was just there by myself, and it was amazing. But still, every day was dive, edit, sleep. It was hectic. And then I always had one day off at the end of the trip, just because you can't fly after diving 24 hours. But besides that, I was just get out of the airport, run to a ferry or to another local plane or to buses or whatever, get to my resort, get all settled in for the night, get up at 5 in the morning, go dive, and it's like that over and over and over. Then I have a day off to work on the video, and then go catch another flight, another 5-hour, 10-hour flight, whatever it is. So it was hectic. After Maldives, I flew to Malta in Europe, and I actually had like a 6-hour layover in Istanbul, which just adds to the stress of trying to find another plane, another terminal, Schengen visa, all this stuff. Not in Turkey, but for Malta. So I arrived in Malta. I didn't really. I think I was there 6 days or 7 days. Just dove every day. And a quick little tidbit. This was 1 week before the famous arch in Malta, collapsed. So I was diving under the arch and the blue hole, all that area, 1 week before it collapsed and made international news, because that's like the icon of Malta, and now it's gone. So I'm sure most of you divers knew about that. But so yeah, Malta was much different diving than the rest of the world that I did. It was super cold and not very much marine life, just a lot of wrecks and formations and stuff. Mediterranean. After Malta, I went straight to Ireland. I had a whole nother sponsor, along with Marriott and all that wanted to take me diving in the north of Ireland near Donegal. They claim there's a ton of shipwrecks there. So I went all the way there. I mean, Malta to Ireland is only 3 or 4 hour flight, probably, maybe 5, I can't remember. And then a long 5-hour bus. And when I got there, the diving was canceled. The North Atlantic was super bad weather, and I didn't dive at all in Ireland, so I have to go back. But at least I got to see, that was my first time in Ireland, I think. So at least I went back to Dublin, stayed in a nice Marriott, and just relaxed. By then, I was on the go. I don't know how many weeks. This is 7 weeks so far, because I was staying an average of 1 week in every location and then diving 3 times a day. So I was super tired by then anyway. So after Ireland, I flew to Toronto. I flew all the way to Toronto, and again, bad weather screwed us over. The Toronto, I don't remember if it was Toronto Tourism or the Canadian Tourism or whoever, they wanted to fly me a short little hop to somewhere. Maybe you Canadian people can tell me, but somewhere not too far from Toronto, there's a shark dive. They see a lot of sharks, and they don't get any attention, so they wanted me to promote it or make videos about it. But that didn't happen. The weather was so bad again that I just ended up chilling in Toronto for like 4 or 5 days, or 7 days, and doing really nothing. So, but by then I was happy to not do much. I still had to make a video. I was like, just shorter videos, not underwater. From Toronto, I flew to Aruba. That was my Caribbean stop. And in Aruba, I dove for like 10 days. It was not my favorite diving, but it was okay. It's a really tiny tiny island, super hot and desolate, and it's just all rich retiree cruise ship people. Huge Marriott, huge resorts that only not very adventurous people go to. But the diving, there was some secret diving that was pretty good. Some wrecks, big morays, stuff like that. I think there's a big plane wreck. So it was cool. Did that for 10 days, and then I was done. My last stop, I flew from Aruba to New York. And then in New York, I had 12 hours off between that Marriott trip and the next sponsor, which was the Indonesian Tourism Board. So I had 12 hours off after this, I think it was like 12-week trip, which was nonstop, go, like airport, dive, airport, like super exhausting. Especially carrying all the scuba gear and camera gear and everything, all the thousands and thousands of flight hours. And I went all the way around the world, landed back in the States. Then I had 12 hours off in New York. And then I flew all the way back, halfway around the world to Indonesia. So that's not where this is. This is about 12 weeks so far. And then I land back in Indonesia. And in Indonesia, it's like a luxury trip. This is with the tourism board. It's with some other bloggers and underwater influencers, like Instagrammers, whatever. And it was super luxurious, but it was a super high-paced, long trip. So we dove Bali every day. Then we flew to Komodo. We dove Komodo for a week. Like 5 days, 6 days. From Komodo, we went to Alor, another island in the Philippines. We dove there for a week. Then we went straight to Raja Ampat for a week. Then some of us went to another island called Mamir, and I was there for a week. And it was just diving. Because this isn't just a fun trip. Like, I'm actually working. And I have to get enough footage in every location to be able to make a full-on video for every location. And you know how diving is. The fish might be too scared. I might get no good footage. There might be a bad weather and I can't, So I have to dive 2, 3, 4 times a day, except for on flight days. So then after Mamir, my girlfriend... was that trip that you met me in Bali? Anyway, my longtime girlfriend met me in Bali, and we hung out for like 5 days. And then she went home, and I went to another press trip in Malaysia. So I went straight from that trip to the next trip, which was Malaysia. They took me down to Sipadan, what's it called? Sea Ventures, the big oil platform that they converted into a dive platform. It's awesome. The coolest dive center I've ever dove with. And I got to dive Kopalai, Mabul, Sipadan, all those awesome dive sites off Borneo for like 12 days. And then, yeah, that was it. From there, from Borneo, I flew, Kota Kinabalu, I flew to Philippines because there was a travel blogger conference going on. And so I flew to Philippines, and then after the conference, I sat in Philippines for like 5 months. I didn't do anything. I was so tired. That whole trip, all the trips combined, that was like, 15 weeks or something. Just nonstop diving, airport, 10 hours on a plane, 5 hours on a ferry, just nonstop. So it's fun for a job, but it was super exhausting. After the 15 weeks or whatever it was, I was just like, yeah, I need a break, a long break. So, yeah, I was dead. So, and I've done a few trips like that since, but not for a long time after that. So, that is today's story with Uncle Justin. So, let me know what you guys think. I mean, it's not a awesome story. I didn't get into like what I did in each country and all that, but it was still an awesome trip to remember. And I've done a lot since then and before then, but this was the longest one. I mean, there was 3 trips combined, but even just the Marriott trip was so big and exhausting. So, yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe. I got all kinds of videos, not just these SCUBA podcasts, but all kinds of videos coming out. So, I hope to see you there. Bye. Okay.
Yeah!
Subscribe!